A first-round tight end drafted out of Notre Dame who finished top 5 in receiving touchdowns in 2015 and was selected to the Pro Bowl that year. This player was on the verge of becoming the next great franchise NFL tight end. Unfortunately, the best season of his career is what ultimately led to his downfall. This is the story of Tyler Eifert. Considered to only be a 3-star recruit out of the state of Indiana with not a ton of scholarship offers, Eifert declared for Notre Dame. His freshman status and an early back injury limited Eifert to only play in 1 game of his first collegiate season. In his sophomore year, though, he began to see some action after future NFL playmaker Kyle Rudolph went down with a season-ending injury in 2010. Eifert was able to get some more touches, earning 352 yards receiving and finding the end zone twice.
In football news, with Kyle Rudolph out for the season, Tyler Eifert is now the starting tight end at Notre Dame. The Bishop Dwenger grad getting his first start Saturday against Western Michigan. A redshirt freshman, Eifert has 1 career reception. He's currently battling a shoulder injury that's limited him the past couple of weeks.
In both of his next 2 seasons, Eifert accumulated nearly 1,500 yards receiving and caught 9 touchdown passes. And in his final senior year season, he played a major role in a Notre Dame offense that made it to the 2012 National Championship game. Eifert's impressive junior and senior seasons turned heads and skyrocketed his draft stock heading into the 2013 NFL Draft. His draft stock was so high, in fact, that he was the first tight end off the board selected 21st overall by the Cincinnati Bengals. Taken behind him were the likes of DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz, and even Le'Veon Bell. His draft profile, according to NFL.com, really highlighted his ball tracking skills and vacuum-like hands. It was hard not to fall in love with the idea of drafting the big, athletic, contested catch tight end at that time. After all, it was Jimmy Graham who was bursting onto the scene with the New Orleans Saints with back-to-back seasons of 99 and 85 catches, respectively. The belief in Eifert by the Bengals was fairly high, considering the surrounding cast that was already present on the Bengals. They felt like they were close offensively. They just needed another offensive weapon to push them over the edge. And Eifert was joining a tight end in Jermaine Gresham, who was second on the team in receptions in 2012, and star wide receiver A.J. Green, who was coming off of a great season where he had almost 1,500 yards with 97 catches. Even though Eifert didn't have to produce right away with the other weapons there, it was clear the expectations were through the roof for the first-round pick. Eifert's first NFL season could be summarized as pretty solid, especially as far as rookie tight ends are concerned. Eifert caught 39 passes for 445 yards and 2 touchdowns. That stat line was nearly identical to Mohamed Sanu's, the team's number 2 receiver. So Eifert did begin to develop quite a role in the offense. However, it didn't take long for Eifert to start to miss some time, and it marked the beginning of an unfortunate trend in his NFL career. In late December of that rookie season, Eifert suffered from a stinger early into the matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. This stinger ended up being worse than a usual one, which normally might cause a player to miss a play or drive. Eifert's stinger sidelined him for the Bengals' final game of the regular season. Eifert would make his first playoff appearance of his career, although he only earned 1 target in that matchup against the Matt Schaub-led Houston Texans. They'd go on to narrowly beat the Bengals in a 19-13 matchup. And with the team's postseason hopes crushed just a week after the regular season ended, Eifert's attention would shift to preparing for a sophomore season in the NFL. But unfortunately for Eifert, that preparation would all be for nothing. In the Bengals season opener near the end of the first quarter, Eifert hauled in a short pass from Andy Dalton. In an attempt to earn a few more hard-earned yards, Eifert ended up dislocating his elbow. It was a brutal injury, one that caused Eifert's brachialis muscle to be completely shredded. And now it's time to diagnose Tyler Eifert's injury with Dr. Pennick. Welcome back to my office, because you know I love talking about injuries. And I know exactly what a torn brachialis is, because it's no simple arm injury. The brachialis muscle plays a crucial role in bending and moving the elbow. If that muscle's torn, like in Eifert's case, then the arm can hardly bend. And with limited mobility and bending, Eifert is unable to hold or even let alone catch a football. Recovery usually involves casting followed by a lengthy physical rehabilitation process. The ultimate result, Eifert would miss the remainder of the 2014 season. I even asked our in-house John Boy Media medical expert, Jose McFly, on his breakdown of a torn brachialis. What's a torn brachialis?
Huh?
Despite Eifert's absence, the Bengals found success again in 2014 and yet again made the playoffs as a wildcard team, but they'd go on to get beaten pretty badly by the Indianapolis Colts. These early unfortunate injuries slowed Eifert's career path down for sure. A first-round pick who hadn't put up more than 500 yards receiving in a season, or even finished a regular season for that matter. But he was able to make a leap maybe no one even saw coming other than himself. Hold on 1 second. We are doing giveaways on these videos. If you leave a like on the video and comment anything down in the comment section, you have an opportunity to win anything from our John Boy Media store. I just released a line of clothing, JM Football line of clothing, a lot of football related stuff. I love the phrase football is a contact sport. You can get shirts that look like that. You can also get some shirts that look like this. You can also get some shirts that look like that. Clap, 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 clap. You can also get a ton of baseball shirts, including this shirt with a dog on it. And whatever you want. Football, baseball, whatever you got. John Boy Media. Leave a like, leave a comment on the video. We're doing some giveaways on these video essays. Year 3, in all likelihood, was a make-or-break year for Eifert's career. Sure, he'd shown flashes up to that point, but the NFL is a league that functions on a what have you done for me lately mindset. Jermaine Gresham, who had made back-to-back Pro Bowl appearances in 2011 and 2012, was still playing at a high level. In Eifert's absence in 2014, Gresham had 460 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, and even when Eifert was healthy in his rookie season, Gresham ate into Eifert's workload and put up nearly the same stat line that he did in 2014. If Eifert wanted to solidify himself as a focal point of the Bengals offense, he'd have to show that he, head and shoulders, was the tight end one on the roster. What he needed was a statement type of game, the type of performance that wouldn't just turn heads, but one that would force his coaches and the rest of the league to recognize the type of player that he could be. And boy, he did that in week 1 of 2015. Matching up against the Raiders in Oakland for the season opener, Eifert's season got off to a quick start, earning a handful of receptions in the first 2 quarters. The third-year tight end caught a contested ball in the end zone to close out the half. And then in the second half of play, Eifert scored another touchdown to put the Bengals up 30-0 against Oakland. His final stat line in week 1, how about 9 receptions, 104 yards, 2 tutties on 12 targets, and that was the best performance of the day on either team. Not only that, it was one of the best stat lines of week 1, period. This was the exact performance that Eifert needed, a true breakout showing. He carried this momentum into the following weeks, with his next standout performance coming in week 5 against the Seattle Seahawks. After logging another 2-touchdown game and 78 yards receiving, Eifert hauled in a big, huge 12-yard catch to start a game-winning drive in overtime. And in week 8, Eifert had yet another monster game. While he only had 53 yards receiving, he found the end zone 3 times, and thanks to that performance, the Bengals would blow out division rival Cleveland Browns by a score of 31-10 and start the season at a staggering 8-0 record. And over the next 3 weeks, the Bengals would be dealt their first 2 losses of the season. Regardless of those losses, Eifert continued to have a nose for the end zone, securing 3 more touchdowns to bring his season total to a whopping 12 touchdowns by week 13. Old demons arose for Eifert, though. After scoring a touchdown in the Bengals' Week 12 matchup against the Rams, he suffered a pinched nerve that would sideline him in Week 13. Eifert returned to play in Week 14, but only recorded 2 catches before suffering a concussion that would cause him to miss the next following 2 games. Thankfully, the nature of these injuries weren't as detrimental as the ones he suffered earlier in his career, and he returned to the field in the final week of the 2015 season. In that game, Eifert helped Cincinnati earn an end-of-the-season win against the Ravens by reeling in 4 passes, 51 yards, and another touchdown. The Bengals finished the season 12-4 and first in the AFC North. No longer a rookie and seemingly at full health, Eifert had the opportunity to play a major role in the Bengals' Super Bowl chase. One that began and kind of ultimately ended with the first-round matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. In that game, Eifert looked to pick up right where he left off in the regular season. He was targeted 9 times, hauling in 5 of those targets for 58 yards. Despite this, the Bengals offense couldn't put up more than 16 points against the stout defense of Pittsburgh. After earning the team's best record since 1988, the Bengals season ended in their 7th straight wildcard loss. For Tyler Eifert, though, the season was not over. He was elected to the first Pro Bowl of his career after finishing top 5 in receiving touchdowns in the league, joining teammates like A.J. Green, Andrew Whitworth, and Carlos Dunlap. Eifert was selected to Team Irvin, but in what should have been just a fun day for Eifert and a career achievement, ended up being a day of misery. In the fourth quarter, Eifert took an awkward fall in an attempt to catch an errant pass by Jameis Winston. Eifert twisted his ankle on the play, leaving the game in a walking boot. Now, there was optimism that Eifert had avoided any major injury, but not long into the recovery process, it was discovered that Eifert had ligament damage that actually hadn't healed correctly. Those aforementioned injury demons had once again appeared, casting a gloomy cloud over Eifert's career year. For better or for worse, Tyler Eifert's injury helped spark a conversation on what a suitable and safe format is for the Pro Bowl. Even though the NFL continued to play a formal quote-unquote game for the next few years until COVID, seeing how one play that initially looked like just a tweaked ankle turned into a career-altering injury definitely scared the league and probably its players even more. So this isn't to say that Eifert's injury is the main reason why the Pro Bowl is a flag football game now and an event that not a ton of people care about. The Pro Bowl was a declining event to begin with. However, his injury certainly did play a role on the league's incentive to change the Pro Bowl's format, and then also since the mid-2010s, star players have opted to decline what once was a can't-miss event. Originally, the Bengals and medical officials had hoped that with the proper rehab and rest, Eifert would be ready for week 1, but after spending a few months in a walking boot, that didn't appear to be the case. Eifert would in fact not be ready for the Bengals season opener. He actually didn't make his season debut until week 7 of 2016 on a Bengals team that started out at a rough 2-4, but it didn't take long for him to find his stride, earning 102 yards in week 8 and 96 receiving yards in week 10. The Bengals continued to struggle as the season went on, and unfortunately things only got worse for Eifert. He missed the final 2 games of the season with the lingering back injury, one that required him to get off-season surgery. Eifert claimed that he felt great after the surgery, ready to bounce back hopefully for the first fully healthy season of his career in 2017, but yet again, he couldn't escape the injury bug. After playing only 2 games in 2017, Eifert was shut down for the season to once again receive surgery on his back. Signing a 1-year deal with the Bengals after 2017, Eifert started off his 2018 season decently enough, but he still couldn't outrun the injuries. He broke his ankle in week 4, which would put him out of commission for all of 2018 that followed after that.
What was supposed to be his comeback season for the Cincinnati Bengals, tight end Tyler Eifert saw 2018 end instead in familiar fashion. Once again, injury robbed Eifert of the end of a season. Formerly, it was back surgeries. This time, it was a broken ankle that saw him carted off after a tackle by Devondre Campbell in the Bengals win yesterday. Eifert, sources say, was set to have surgery imminently, and his season is over.
The first and only season where he played in every game was 2019. Ironically enough, it's likely because it's the season where he saw the least amount of starts. He posted a less than spectacular line of 436 yards and 3 touchdowns for the season before leaving Cincinnati for the first time in his career for the Jacksonville Jaguars. For his final season in 2020 at the age of 30, Eifert had a decent season as a depth player, but it was clear and evident that the injuries had turned him into a shell of what he once was. After being forced to enter into free agency once the Jaguars declined his 2021 option, Eifert called it quits and retired from the NFL, a tragic end to a promising first-round pick. Eifert, while no longer an active player in the NFL, still has ties to the league. You can often find him at Bengals tailgates throughout the season, cheering on his former team. He also co-owns a bar down in Lake Worth Beach, Florida, called the Irish Brigade. Inspired by his alma mater, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the pub hosts all types of events, concert, games, even a watch party back in 2022 when Eifert's Bengals made it to the Super Bowl. A former first-round pick who was on the cusp of becoming a franchise tight end, Tyler Eifert seemed to have all the traits you want a complete pass catcher to have. He was long, he was big, physical, athletic, and had a knack for finding the end zone. But not unlike many other players in the NFL, Eifert's promising career was cut short by a barrage of injuries. Although his success was short-lived, his legacy lives on in both the hearts of Bengals fans and in how we view the Pro Bowl today.